What's up, guys? So welcome back to Channel Max Real. Today we're going to react into the cop who turned into a gangster, Rafael Perez. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Now, the reason I react to this is I think it's always cool. Whenever we see a movie, we always see the bad cop who the good cop who turns into a bad guy. And for whatever situation, for whatever reason, they turn it back on the law, whether it's money or whatever. And I haven't read too many stories of cops. I mean, we know there's cook crops, there's all kinds of cook crops, but I've never heard too many stories, at least that I've seen of a cop like turned to a gangster like that. So this is something I saw look really interesting. So we'll jump right into this, guys. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome. If you're getting to, if you like me, so give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and share. There'll be a link in the description to the video. It will be looking to the original channel. Go support them and my social media description as well. You guys follow me on there. Make sure to leave your thoughts in the comment sections. Did you like the videos? Did you hate it? Give me your true feelings and whether these want me to react to, whether it be other stories like this or something else. But let's get into it.
In 1999, 70 police officers were accused of police misconduct during the LAPD's infamous Rampart scandal.
Never
And
heard
the man
of that.
behind it all was Rafael Perez. Rafael Perez had went from being a good cop, dedicated to arresting criminals and violent gang members, to becoming a criminal and a gangster himself. And when federal agents finally took Perez down, he exposed the biggest case of police corruption in California's history.
Oh, really?
Rafael Antonio Perez was born in Puerto Rico on August 22, 1967. At a young age, he moved with his mother to Philadelphia, and he spent most of his childhood years there. As a kid, Perez always knew he wanted to be a police officer. He would watch cop shows and movies about police officers in Los Angeles, and dreamed of one day working for the LAPD, catching the bad guys like on the TV shows. After graduating from high school, Perez joined the Marines, and soon after got married to his first wife. While in the Marines, Perez didn't have many friends, but those who knew him described him as being a nice guy, considerate, and easy to talk to. In 1998, the military base Perez was stationed at in Maine
seemed like a normal kid.
So Perez and his wife relocated to California to start a new life. He was 21. But soon after their move, their marriage came to an end after Perez was caught cheating with a female Marine.
Damn.
That same year he was divorced, Perez took the LAPD entrance exam and passed. He joined the police academy and was the squad leader of his class. And in 1989, he graduated, becoming a Los Angeles police officer at 22 years old. After his rookie year, Rafael Perez, who went by Ray on the force, began working undercover assignments on the narcotics team. He was partnered up with David Mack, a cop from Compton who had joined the LAPD a year before. The two were put on the buy and bust team, which meant they traveled throughout the city, undercover, buying drugs on the streets and making arrests. Perez quickly learned about the darker side.
So like those guys you always see in movies, they're always the ones buying the drugs, and then they just put the handcuffs on. It was one of the reasons I've never been like a fan of certain drugs, because you never know who might not be a cop. But I mean, it's interesting because his story sounds like it's just like any regular person, like kid, grew up, wanted to be a cop, watched cops all the time. So obviously that influenced him, went to the Marines, got married before she got caught cheating, got divorced, it seems like, and that's what seems like all these stories start. It always seems just like it's just like a normal dude or a nice guy.
Of Los Angeles. He became an expert on how gangs and drugs moved through Southern California.
So that gave him experience.
And he saw firsthand how gangs and drugs destroyed the communities he patrolled. So he worked hard to arrest those who were involved in both. And for the first few years, he was good at it. Perez's commanding officers recognized him as being an honest cop who made clean arrests and took hundreds of real criminals off the streets.
Damn, that's impressive.
No reports of any police misconduct involving Perez came until 1993.
So he was generally a good cop.
4 years after he had joined the force. The incident involved a drug dealer who had been shot and killed by Perez's partner, David Mack. According to both Perez and Mack, the dealer had pulled a gun out on Perez, threatening to shoot him, and Mack responded by shooting first, saving Perez's life. Witnesses, however, told a much different story. They claimed the dealer was unarmed and was shot once when he approached the police car.
Damn.
They say the dealer then tried to run and was shot again in the back, killing him. But both Perez and Mack denied the allegations,
Oh my God.
and both were found to be justified in their actions.
Sounds a lot like today.
David Mack even received an LAPD medal for heroism in saving Perez's life. Then, in 1995, after years of exceptional police work cleaning up the streets, Perez was assigned to an elite undercover narcotics unit, the Rampart Anti-Gang Crash Unit, which stood for Community Resources Against Street.
This really does sound like some type of movie, like he was assigned to a undercover like drug narcotic group. Like it really does sound like a movie that you would watch of the cop who went undercover, been a drug dealer all the time, but then who got too deep in the game and became too obsessed with the drugs and money. That's what it seems like.
Street hoodlums. In this special unit, it was the police officer's job to track and monitor gang activities and gang membership. The officers patrolled Rampart, an area just west of downtown Los Angeles that's heavily populated and home to at least 30 different gangs. Because of the undercover nature of their jobs, the officers assigned to Rampart were allowed to wear plain clothes and not police uniforms. Perez, who was no longer partnered with David Mack, was assigned a new crash partner, and the two were let loose in the streets to confront and attempt to control LA gangs. It's said that this is when Perez started dressing more like a gangster than a cop, and acting almost like a gang member himself. Perez demanded respect from those he came in contact with, and if they didn't give it to him, they paid the price.
So it affected him like
Perez's
mentally.
Puerto Rican background also gave him an advantage over the Spanish-speaking community he patrolled, because most people assumed he was black, not knowing that he actually spoke fluent Spanish. Perez would make multiple arrests, and then leave the suspects in the back of his police car to talk. Many times, gang members and drug dealers would tell on themselves, and at the same time, give Perez information about the neighborhood that no one would know except those who lived there. Within months of working with the crash unit, Perez was on his path to corruption. His first admitted offense came while making his first big drug bust. Perez and his partners had seized money from a drug dealer and then decided to keep some of the money for themselves. And from there, his spiral.
Money. Classic story. Case agreed. It always seems like that, because like again, reference to movies. Many times the officers or cops will say like, "Oh, we're out there putting our lives on the line, but we're not getting paid enough money to do what we do," and that may be true in some sense. But at the same time, like when you become a police officer, you place to protect and serve. If you're not doing it for money, you're doing it because you want to protect and serve your community. Like if you want money, you should have been something. That's always my offense. Like if you want money, then you should have been something else. Like if that was like if you were looking for a job that was going to make you like rich or comfortable, being a police officer should not have been one of them. This is not one of me. So I never liked that argument. It's like, okay, yeah, I see what you're saying, but at the same time, this is a type of job to get high pay. If you want something like that, go somewhere else. But it's like they say, he infiltrated the streets. You saw the gangs where, it's like after time, that stuff probably slowly started to affect them mentally. Seeing the drugs and stuff and seeing how much money you could be made off of. Because like I said, it's always greed. And him probably seeing like how much money they could be made off of. And the fact that he was a cop, he could probably get away with all this. He was like, all right, we got something here.
Downward was fast. Perez began stealing drugs and money from other dealers through illegal search and seizures and would beat up whoever tried to stop him.
Damn.
He started setting gang members up for crimes they didn't commit and would plant fake evidence on suspects to make arrests. 2 gang members Perez planted weapons on were arrested and sent to jail for 1 and 3 years, even after they told the courts they were being set up. In fact, many of the people Perez arrested claimed they were set up. But because most of Perez's victims had gang associations or criminal records, their statements were easily disregarded.
Yep, they ignored it because they're a criminal. Why would I trust what you say?
Because Perez was such a respected cop in the police department, none of his arrests were even questioned. And everyone he falsely arrested was found to be guilty and sent to jail.
Because why question the good guy?
With the money he had made from his illegal activities, Perez was able to live an expensive lifestyle.
Yep.
He had remarried and was living in a beautiful Los Angeles home with his wife and daughter. And neighbors say he often bought new cars and home furnishings. Along with a wife and family, Perez also had several girlfriends in the Rampart area he patrolled that helped him deal his stolen narcotics.
God damn, so he was a drug dealer and a pimp. And a pimp at the same time. Damn, man. But for me, that would have been my first suspicion. It's like, okay, you're a cop. How are you affording all this nice stuff? You're. I mean, like, come on, like, how you affording this? You're not even like a police shooter. Like, how are you affording like all this stuff, all these suspicious, like that to me? Like, if I was on the force, if I was like his partner or his boss, like I'd have been suspicious of that. I'd be like, yeah, you guys know he's getting like the money to buy all this stuff with. Like where's all this money coming from? Because I like, ain't no way he making now that salary. But she said he has several girlfriends, so he has models up in there. Damn. It's funny because they sent him in there to to infiltrate, to pretend to be a gangster in it. And unfortunately, just he ended up turning from pretending to him being the real thing, to being a real gangster.
Perez would steal the drugs from dealers, then bring it to his girlfriends to sell the product on the streets.
Damn.
But after years of stealing from street dealers, Perez wanted more. So he moved to stealing drug evidence from police lockers.
See, that's where you mess up. He started out
taking small amounts of cocaine.
That's where you mess
up.
Then
progressed to taking pounds, replacing the stolen evidence with flour or Bisquick mix. In 1996, while Perez was building his criminal empire, he stayed in contact with his former partner David Mack, and the two remained friends. Mack introduced Perez to Suge Knight, the CEO of Death Row Records, who was at the time looking to hire
Suge Knight in this. All right, now it's gotten spicy. Now it's gotten spicy. I know Suge Knight was gonna be involved in this, but it's funny because we do know that there were cops involved with Suge Knight. And there's a whole case of like there were also cops outside big. We're not here to get to that, but like it makes sense now that back that he would eventually get involved with Suge Knight. It makes sense, but now it's getting interesting.
Hire off-duty police officers for extra security. Perez got the job, and on his days off from the police force, he worked as a private security guard for Suge Knight and Death Row Records.
Probably got paid a pretty penny too.
At the beginning of 1998, Perez had crossed all the way over. He would drink and throw wild parties with exotic dancers in hotel rooms while on duty. He'd shoot suspects without any cause, then wouldn't call medical attention after seriously wounding them.
Damn, man.
And one man he had shot, paralyzed, then sent to jail for 23 years.
Oh my God, man.
Perez had gotten completely comfortable with breaking the law, which had made him careless.
Yep.
And that's what caused his downfall. On August 25th, 1998, SWAT teams blocked off Perez's quiet suburban street and arrested him for stealing close to $1 million worth of cocaine from an LAPD evidence locker.
God damn.
Police had become suspicious of the theft when it was discovered that Perez had checked out the drug evidence using a false name. Months later, arrested and facing 12 years in prison for stealing police evidence, Perez cut a deal with prosecutors. In exchange for immunity, Perez agreed to give information regarding widespread police corruption within the LAPD's Rampart Division.
So he got away
and over
pretty
the course
much
of 35 interviews, Perez told stories of officers planting evidence to get convictions and using excessive force during arrests. He explained how cops would create false alibis for one another and intimidate people in the neighborhood who witnessed their misconduct. He even admitted cases where police officers attempted to murder possible suspects.
Damn, it's just like Case's story of greed, man. It's like Case's story of I want this, I want that. And that's one of the dangers when it comes with giving people power to do certain things. That's why a lot of cops, they become corrupted because they have they have a badge. They make them feel like they can do everything. That's not all cops, but I'm saying it's very easy for a cop to become corrupted because they have this power and because they're around all this drugs and different stuff and that they realize that, oh, I can make a lot more money by stealing stuff and selling it, taking it from the gangsters. Instead of doing what I'm supposed to be, instead of doing what I'm supposed to do, which is arresting them, because they're so close to it, and it makes complete sense why he ended up failing. Why he ended up failing, falling down this bad case, because he was so connected to all these drugs and these gangsters, and he had the ability to access the evidence locker and stuff like that. It's like when you give a person the ability to do something wrong and they feel there's no consequence for it, like they're going to choose to do something wrong. That's just probably what majority of people will do. Because it's like, hey, why do the good thing that won't give me any reward? Well, I can do the wrong thing, get rewards, and then not get caught for it. But like I said, it's always that case, like you get a little bit, then you start getting too much. Like, he may have never been caught if he wouldn't have started stealing stuff from the evidence locker, because he had the town he's patrolling on lock. Everybody thought he was a great cop, so nobody would disbelieve him. But it's like, when you start, like you said, but then he got re-into it. He was throwing parties and spending all this money and stuff. It's just, it's foolishness. It's foolishness. Because eventually at some point you're going to get caught, and that greed is going to get ahead of you. And it's always been that classic story. Greed getting the better of people. And it is some truth to that saying, like, money will change people. That's what I say. It's so easy for somebody like a cop or a politician or let's say like FBI or somebody with connections that has the power to do some things, they have connections to all this bad stuff around them. It's very easy for someone like that to fall.
Perez confessed to so many crimes committed by he and his fellow officers that his testimony transcripts filled 4,500 pages.
God damn!
But with everything Perez told, his most shocking confession involved Javier Ovando, the gang member Perez and his partner shot 3 times and paralyzed after the 19-year-old surprised them during a stakeout. Perez admitted that he had planted a weapon on Ovando after shooting him, and then lied in open court saying Ovando had attacked him. Perez's false testimony had sent Javier Ovando to prison with a 23-year prison sentence for felony assault against a police officer. By the time Perez was done exposing LAPD's corruption, 70 Rampart cops would be put under investigation. Prisons across California had to open their doors as over 100 cases were overturned and the wrongly imprisoned were set free, including framed Javier Ovando, who had done 2.5 years.
What does this say about our justice system, man? I'm sorry, guys, but like, just what does this say? Like 4,000 pages? 4,000, like, come on, bro. Like, them cops were just wilding. And that's the point. You give these people all this power with no, like, guidance or no consequence or anything like that. Like, and again, I'm not saying all cops abuse, because I know not all cops abuse their authority. But it's like, you give somebody a badge and a gun that gets an ability to arrest this person or shoot this person, for whatever reason, and there's no like accountability for that, because he was a cop, and obviously this guy was a criminal. He was the gangster, so he must have been doing something wrong. Dude was just sitting outside. It's stuff like that. There's no accountability for anything. So, of course, they're going to do wrong. Of course, they're going to corrupt. Because not only is there no accountability, but you got them around all the drugs. You got the drugs. You got them around all these drugs, all these gangsters, all these bad ways to make money. Of course, they're going to do it. So, I'm like, it's shocking, but at the same time, it's not shocking. This is the way it's always been. It's always been like this. And it's a sad thing to say that this is our justice system. This is what enforces the laws in our country.
After the wrongfully accused were set free, there were 140 lawsuits filed against the city of LA's police department. And $125 million was paid out to the victims. Victims' payouts ranged from $25,000 up to the $15 million settlement that Javier Ovando received.
Yeah, I'm about to say he had to get a few millions. The fact that he was wrongfully shot, paralyzed, and planted, like, he had to get a lot of money. So I mean, at least there was justice in that. Though that but it's a shame that he even had to get to that point before he was able to do all this bad things before somebody realized, like, hey, something doesn't seem right here. What's going on with him? Like, maybe we should check that out.
The largest settlement in LAPD's history. So many people got paid from the lawsuits that the locals started calling it the Rampart Lottery.
Damn.
As victims were receiving payouts, investigators continued to look into Perez's claims of even more police misconduct. But the investigators realized they had a problem when almost all the police officers that Perez accused denied everything Perez said.
Of course they're going to deny it.
They claimed no wrongdoing, and not one cop came forward to support Perez's claims. Officers in Perez's department called him a liar. They said he was making up stories and targeting cops he didn't like just to save himself. And many of the officers accused fought the accusations against them in court and won. Out of the 70 Rampart police officers Perez put under suspicion, 9 of them were prosecuted and 24 were fired or quit. The only officer Perez spoke nothing about
Ridiculous.
was his one-time partner, David Mack. Soon after Perez's confession, the entire crash task force was dismantled, and all gang officers from then on were required to wear police uniforms. The U.S. government also stepped in, meaning the Department of Justice would supervise and monitor all Los Angeles police activity for 5 years. At trial,
5 years?
Prosecutors accused Perez of being associated with an LA Blood.
That's it for 5 years, bro? That's stupid. It should be for life. Every officer should be guarded. That's what I'm saying. Like, no, it shouldn't just be no 5 years. They should be guarded for life, man. Watching over, making sure they're going to be held accountable for that, man. That's what I'm saying. And I guarantee out of those 70 cops, I guarantee some of them had to do it wrong. There was no way. There was no way there was not 70 cops. There were 70 cops that he named, and all of them did nothing. But it makes sense for that. Hold on, man, guys. Sorry about it, guys. I have to do something. But as I was saying, like, they should be held. They should watch them for the rest of it, for just like forever. Because obviously, you see what happens when you give them freedom. They do bad like that. Like I said before, there's no way that all 7 of those cops that he named were all not doing that. There was just no way. I refuse to believe he was the only cop doing something. But because he was the bad cop, and because he was the one that caught, he's the one that did all these bad things, of course nobody's going to believe him. Of course the cops are going to, like, you know, they're going to defend themselves. Because, like, who's going to believe this guy? The bad cop, the one who shot him, like, come on. Like, it just makes sense, because it makes me mad to see, because it should be such a much better system in place so things like this can't happen.
Gang, and said he had become a rogue cop who decided to take the law into his own hands. Perez admitted that he was a cop who had turned bad, but said that while he was committing the crimes, it hadn't occurred to him that he was destroying lives. Perez explained that he thought because he was taking gang members and drug dealers off the streets, that the ends justified the means. And then he apologized.
There is no justification for my misdeeds, either on or off duty. I now tell you with every inch of my heart and soul that I am truly, truly sorry.
In 2001, at the age of 33, Perez was released from prison after serving 3 years of his 5-year sentence for stealing from a police evidence locker. That same year, Perez pleaded guilty to the shooting of Javier Ovando and was sentenced to 5 years in federal prison.
I about to say, you should get a lot
After
more.
serving 2, he was released and put on parole.
Bro, that's bull
Because
crap.
of his testimony exposing the corruption within the LAPD's Rampart Division, Perez received full immunity for all other crimes he'd committed while being a police
Nobody
officer.
was arrested, though!
Today, the outside of the Rampart
so
Division
stupid.
looks nothing like it did back in 2001. The police station is moved into a new building, and they claim to have undergone a complete transformation, both inside and out.
Yeah, whatever.
And while there are people who do agree that the LAPD has improved since the scandal, most say there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. And Rafael Perez, who stayed in California after being released from jail, has never spoken publicly since his trial. He's stayed away from all news and TV interview requests and instead has chosen to live a quiet life away from the spotlight. But no matter how quiet he is, Rafael Perez will always be remembered as the man who exposed the biggest police corruption scandal in California's history.
Man, it's just sad, man. It really makes you just question, our justice system. And it's like, do we really trust the people that are supposed to be protecting us? But anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed. That was pretty good. I actually really enjoyed that, because it just showed, how it really easy it is for one good man to fall, or seeing one good person to fall. Because I always believe everybody has a little bit of bad in them. Everybody has a little, bit of, to do the wrong thing. And like I said, when you give a person power and the ability to do the wrong thing with seemingly no consequences, of course they're going to choose to do the wrong thing. And with money, what runs the world, of course, it's always money and it's always power, and people always fall to this greed. And like I said before, the fact, like, I honestly think he should have gotten way more years than that. Like, he paralyzed somebody, all the crime he did, the wrong arrest, and they talk about, just because they're gangsters. And that's also another thing. We do a very good job as society of like dehumanizing people who are gangsters or criminals or bad guys because of things that they have done. And yes, some things that are absolutely hideous and it makes you question or not whether they're human. But at the end of the day, they still are just that human, whether regardless of what they've done. And there are just some people out there who have just done some really bad things. But to say they're not humans, like, oh, because they're criminals and they're drug dealers, that's what they're doing. But sometimes it's like you gotta look at the case, like why are they selling drugs? Why are they a criminal? Is it because it feels like the only thing they have to do? And as a kid who grew up in not the best place to live, like there are situations like that where sometimes people feel like the only thing they can do to support themselves is to sell drugs or do this and that. So it's just never the black and white that people try to like paint it as. There's always a gray area for everybody. But anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts on what you guys think. What you guys think about the case? What you guys think about Pharrell? So I'm right here about Pharrell. What you guys think about him? What you guys think about it? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Like how you feel about our justice system? Let me know down below. But thank you everybody who stayed and watched the entire video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share. There'll be a link in the description for available as well to the original channel. My social support them and my social media will be in the description as well. You can follow me on that. But like, I'm out. Peace.